Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Jacob Elliott. I've put this presentation together for you mainly because it's been about 30 years of wandering around this earth, speaking, meeting new people, understanding the world around me. I've recognized a couple of things, especially whenever it comes to answers related to the question of the title here. You ever wonder why we're here? Um, when I ask people this, the usual answers that I hear are we're here to discover how to co create life, how to understand the principles of our existence. We're here to unlock potential for a fulfilling future or navigate life's journey with purpose and clarity. Um, all those are true. I think they can be well summarized by the statement that it appears life has gifted us a vehicle, and our purpose here is to learn how to drive it. Um, for better or worse, that vehicle can either contribute and improve life or do the opposite. So, talking about the core problem, I've had the opportunity to speak with thousands of very high agency individuals over the course of my career, all of them multimillionaires, a few of them billionaires, and they've highlighted a few really interesting aspects of the world around me. So, one of the aspects that they've highlighted is that a lot of people feel frustrated with the complexity of life. They feel that they're navigating it without a clear guide, and that along the way they collect these personal instruction manuals that help them make sense of all of this. Um, but still, a lot of people are unsure how to unlock that full potential. Over on this side, we see potential is really about mission. So if you know what your mission is, then you can get a pretty good idea for how to go about doing that, which automatically, brings your potential in line with your purpose, and hopefully great things happen. Um, in my mind, our purpose here is about mastering or becoming masters of that experience. We aim to align our actions with our most authentic selves while we're here, and that strives to leave the world better than when we found it. Why does that core problem exist that I described previously? If this is our mission, well, it's because of the contract of life. So, in between the core problem and the core mission, there exists the contract of life. And you can think about this as an agreement made with the parts unknown in the world around us. It's a fundamental agreement. It exists as soon as we're here. We agree to meet our basic needs daily. So, eat, sleep, drink, work, move, interact with others. And in exchange, life gives us another day or week or year. Um, this is a really important cornerstone because if we don't meet these basic needs every single day, we enter into a state of degradation. And eventually, if we stay in that state of degradation long enough, life will cease to exist. Along the way, um, while you're fighting this degradation and you're striving to improve yourself and you're collecting all your rule books, we find ourselves in a series of strange situations. Um Personally, in my own life, whenever I was unaligned with my purpose, it led to meandering paths. I found myself often stuck in similar cycles with similar people, even um, uh, uncanny dates and whatnot. You start to recognize, hey, I've been here before. Um, and then all of this is driven by this concept or idea that if you are meandering, well, you're going to get stuck, most likely repeating the same painful lessons over and over and over again. So this leads to the feeling of misalignment. It's an experiencing of constant mental fog and exhaustion. Willpower slowly begins to erode over time. That's a state of degradation I was talking about. The intuitive voice in your mind, it becomes way harder to hear, and daily life starts to feel like a war as a result. Eventually, there's only one place where this can go. It leads to a total crash. Why? Well, satisfying the contract of life, we're so focused on what's going on around us and who's around us that we forget that there's an entire inner world about that. It's what I refer to as the mountain of the mind. It's a pretty vast mountain. It holds all of theology, philosophy, everything that humanity has ever done. It's part of that mountain. It's our subconscious. Journey to the top of the mountain requires a good path. The chosen path is the belief system that we carry with us as we're moving through the world. And only conscious action can actually move us forward on that path. So it's not enough just to have a belief system and then lock yourself away in a room for your entire life, never interacting with people. We actually have to take conscious action on that path, interact with other people in order to have influence on the world around us. Where does all this come from? As far as we can tell, the universe works on observable laws, and one of the more unique and interesting ones is that there's a material and non-material world that I refer to as a spiritual world. Both are made of energy, believe it or not. That willpower and intent is practically the code to the universe. If you use your willpower and intent with high levels of agency, you can achieve practically anything. Um, and that the universe, it actually renders this code that you're generating with your willpower, intent, actions as your lived experience. So this is the mechanism that actually handles it. Reality density transfer. Because both the material and the spiritual worlds are energetic, reality density transfer can enable a shift between the higher order, much denser, information rich versions of our world up here in the spiritual realm. You can almost think of this as a higher density, more organized perspective on everything that has ever happened, will happen, or has not happened. This orange barrier here in the center of the picture, this is the actual process of reality density transfer. So you're taking high density energy and information from the spirit realm, transferring it through this envelope here, and then all of this blue wispy code looking material is essentially the lower density energy rich information that's being transmitted down to these little white nodes that are all over the place. So these are minds, and these minds exist everywhere. When this transfer happens, it doesn't happen in our version of reality. It happens in what I call angular reality. Um, what angular reality does is it computes a coherent future state. So based off of the event that you just took, this angular reality opens up and it uses all of the inputs from your reality to figure out what is the most reasonable expected outcome. And then it aligns reality with that outcome, and then reality continues on. The best example I have for this is you can almost imagine if you're rolling dice, shooting craps. When you throw those dice from your hand, the moment that they leave your hand, you no longer have any influence over those dice. However, you also don't know what the outcome of those dice are. In essence, you have created a temporary void where your future state has already happened because you no longer have any influence over those dice, but you're still waiting to experience it because time can only flow in a way that allows those dice to fly through the air, roll on the board, then eventually come to a final rest. The reason that this entire experience happens in a linear format, as far as I can tell, is due to this three brain connection. So, our brain, heart, and gut, they're deeply connected by a fungal system that runs up our spine. In all three of these parts of our body, and I would assume many other places as well, this fungal system exchanges electricity for different chemical reactions, and that's what allows the body to grow and develop intelligently. These three centers of operation, when they're functioning appropriately, I believe it opens up our mind to exchanges with this spiritual realm that we talked about in the last couple of slides. Dysfunction here prevents us from noticing this. It's not that it locks us out, it's just we don't have the ability to perceive it. And that these three centers are constantly in communication. So they are enabled, their connection is enabled through resonance, which is just organized vibration. This leads to an experience called the consciousness network. What this is a whole bunch of minds that are interconnected through specific forms of resonance. Each mind can search this network. It uses reality density transfer to connect with non-local minds, and as a result of this search and connection, we end up with a vast network of consciousness that we can connect with and pull information from throughout space and time. So what does that look like? A little bit more in practice. You can see the graphic on the right of the screen here. Each one of these little nodes and nebulas, some of them are organized as amorphic blobs, some of them look like flowers, some of them look like galaxies, some of them look like brains. Um, so this cosmic consciousness, these are almost clusters of consciousness. So you can think of lots of people who have a lot of things in common. They're actually going to be closer to each other in the cluster than other people who have something else in common, but you notice in the center of all of these clusters, seemingly all of them connect with this large universal galactic blob-like figure. This would be some sort of source. How this works is you have your perspective shaping your personal reality. So your perspective would exist in one of the clusters that are around the source. You use your attention and focus from the point of your perspective to manipulate the world around you. Intent and action is what actually produces the consequences of what you would essentially like to change. This leads to agency. So some of us make sovereign choices, others follow collective currents and influence. To take control and change your character is ultimately up to you, and nobody can take that from you. So here is the start of the source code. What the Hermetic principles are is an ancient framework for how to consider the world around us. They are rules of fundamental reality, and some can actually reorder reality using their will and these codes. They apply them to change their perspective, which changes how they think and feel. That change in how they think and feel changes what they're likely to do, how they're likely to react, and it also changes the options or the pathways that they actively take. So um, that's a really simplified way to say um, you are your thoughts and feelings, and you're more likely to act based off thoughts and feelings rather than logic. First two of them that I'll introduce here is mentalism correspondence. Mentalism states that the universe is a mental creation. The best example of this is the placebo effect. Um, Correspondence suggests that the outer world mirrors the inner. So, how this all comes together. The placebo effect, you take a sugar pill from the doctor because you believe that the doctor is looking out for your best interests and that you believe you have an ailment. You'll see your health condition start to improve until that doctor lets you know that you actually took a health pill. And when this happens, your health will improve up until you learn about that that's not real medicine, and then you might actually see your health condition start to revert. So whether or not we can kind of wrap our heads around this, it appears that what we think and feel becomes reality. It works through vibration and polarity. So vibration is this idea that everything moves and nothing is ever at rest. You can think about water changing from solid to liquid to gas. Um, Even if it's at 0 degrees Celsius, water will constantly be changing between ice and liquid. It is very unlikely to move through to gas, however, because it's all part of one big spectrum, it's possible. Polarity, so that's the opposite of the same thing. So hot and cold are degrees of temperature. Liquid, ice, gas, those are all parts of the transitions that water take as you apply heat or cold to them. All this is connected through those fundamental principles. The next three that I'll showcase are rhythm, cause, and gender. Rhythm, everything has a flow and a cycle. It's predictable. Cause has an effect for every single action. Gender means masculine and feminine energies exist. Um, with every single action, regardless of what that is. This leads us to the last two that I'll include for the Hermetic principles: sovereignty and dominion. These aren't found in the traditional text. This is found from my own studies. Um, Sovereignty comes from understanding your personal scope of control. Reclaiming sovereignty comes by taking action. Dominion comes from the process of repeated self-actualization, and it turns conscious actions into effortless habits. So a great example of this is rock climbers. There are millions of rock climbers who get up mountains every single year all over the world, and they spend thousands of dollars traveling to do so. Um, Part of that thousands of dollars is this rack, the equipment that this woman in the picture is wearing. The reason that she's wearing this rack is because people fall, and she wants the ropes to save her life. There are some people out there who are so confident, so capable, that they do not climb with any ropes at all. In fact, they only climb with shoes, clothing, potentially a chalk bag, typically. That's it. Maybe a backpack for some food and water. Those people have access to a level of sovereignty and dominion that 99.99% of rock climbers will never even attempt. They have such total control over um, their the way that they react to the world around them, that they're able to scale, 3,000 meters of cliff face completely at risk the entire time. Where if they make one slip, they fall. That's it. So along the path of unlocking sovereignty and dominion, you'll have several key checkpoints. The first is the hermetic bubble, which seals you from noise. You can think of this as traditionally some pretty uncomfortable times. It looks like losing jobs, relationships, having problems with friends or family. You might have issues with health, or really anything in between. Um, what the hermetic bubble forces you to do is to remove noise from your life and to focus on one thing, which is to confront fear directly that lives inside of our subconscious. If you do this successfully, you'll be able to transmute the pain of your lived experience into wisdom and return to the world self-actualized and actually contribute. A lot of people get stuck in this process where they can see it almost as like going up the mountain of the mind. They never end up coming back down the mountain. Um, just before we wrap up, I wanted a quick point on symbolism in the subconscious. So the reason why this is so important is symbols speak directly to our subconscious mind. They leave lasting impressions on our psyche. These impressions influence our future responses, and understanding symbols it can help guide you through the hermetic experience. Some more practical help here. So these are simple, powerful practices that I followed throughout the entire thing. Made things a lot easier. So the first one up at the top left is box breathing. It's a practice of meditation. The idea is that you have 4 chambers, one for each lung, and then one in the lower extremities beneath your the band that sits in between your stomach and your lungs. 2, writing makes abstract thoughts more concrete, so whenever you're journaling or you're expressing yourself, having them down on physical paper using pen and paper, not typing them on a machine, is super helpful there if it's possible. If you can't, machines can be just as good. Vocalization, so this helps tune your body to resonance. People will sing, they'll hum is more likely what's generally accessible to you. My grandmother used to hum all the time. Since she stopped humming, she's not enjoying life as much. Go figure. Part 4, mindful walks in nature to disconnect from chaos. This, this is a really important piece. So part of the grounding effect, part of that resonance, that vibration thing, is getting outside of the collective space, and that could be a concrete jungle. It might be just a apartment building, or it might even be the family home. All of this collective space, it's overpowering. So it's important to get away from that, get out to nature, and keep yourself disconnected from that chaos. Part of this path I recognize is religion. I'm not particularly religious myself, but there are some ancient paths that I observed along the way. Virtually all of them have the same summit. Okay, they just get there in different ways. Ancient traditions like the Gnostic wisdoms, they teach you how to wake up from the simulation that we live in. The Taoist paths, they teach how to align energy with a natural flow state, making for effortless action. And then the Buddhist way releases attachments and suffering. So the whole idea behind this is that you're not looking to basically whip yourself into a better person. You're looking to align with the highest version of yourself so that you are effortlessly acting from that perspective. Uh, some helpful hints there. Uh, so in this whole journey, this is your own journey from your perspective. The entire universe, the world around you, um, is accessible through a series of keys that you find within yourself. These keys allow you to become a driver of the life around you, and they essentially allow you to take more agency over your future destiny. So once you take that control, you unlock that potential, you open the door. What's beyond that door is a vast series of new experiences that your life would have never previously gotten in touch with. Um, if you embrace the nebulous form of these experiences, they might feel like side quests, almost random. You will be able to enjoy the ride. Anyway, that's about it for the introduction to this slideshow. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to hearing your perspectives. Thanks.